When we talk about concept in relation to brain or mind or mental activity, we have to or need to, in a sense, understand that every time we learn something new, our concepts change. Our sense of values might change as soon as we become more knowledgeable about something. But in this case, we're saying that Dr. Einstein, in talking about the law of relativity, for instance, we believe he's considering everything within physics, of course. And when we talk about the body and mind, we're talking about one unit in that concept. Now, when we separate mind from body, we need to consider a different concept, because then the law of relativity applies to body's position and wherever this body is situated relative to things of that concern the surrounding and so forth. And then the other thing would be, now wherever mind has been projected to, now we have another concept. One concept is when we consider the law of relativity as applies to physics, the body. Then another concept about the law of relativity as it applies to mind, and that's the spiritual and subjective. Because now we know that we can project mind away from the body, and if so, we have a different perspective. Away from the body, different perspective in relation to the law of relativity. Let's suppose that we're functioning within the beta world. This is the physical, so-called material world, the five sense world. So when this happens, we have centered our way of thinking, or we have found a perspective to function centrally located within the physical world. This is the brain frequency spectrum. When we're only using this part of our brain, we center ourselves to be equal distance from either direction. So if we have centered ourselves here, then everything that we think is from that perspective. So the law of relativity then will apply where the body is, because we're dealing with the physical world. That means mind has now been enslaved by the body. We're limited to whatever the body can do when we're right here. Now, as soon as we learn to function within another dimension, like the alpha dimension, then we have expanded our perspective of operation, we say. We have expanded, added so many more cycles or regions of brain within our mental range. So we need to recenter ourselves. Now, what happens when we're functioning in the center of the brain spectrum in relation to the physical world is right here. Now, what happens when we center ourselves into the subjective world, into the alpha dimension? Like the 10-cycle frequency that's here, that's being centered within the alpha dimension, within the dimension that used to be considered the subconscious, but we're functioning with awareness like we do here. In this case, the law of relativity changes. The body is left back there, but our mind is projected to this perspective now. Now, when this happens, and if and when, and of course we are, learning to add more levels to our awareness, the whole concept will change about the value of things. Because we don't have to be enslaved within the body and operate only as related to physics. That the law of relativity will apply only to the physical dimension. In this case, we are going to apply the law of relativity from wherever intelligence functions from, whether from this perspective or that perspective. You see, we have faculties within this dimension that can be projected. We have a faculty of hearing, which is a low-frequency type of communication, and it is believed to be between 20 and 20,000 cycles per second. Well, this faculty of hearing that is contained within our hearing mechanism, the faculty can be projected to a short distance, can be projected to a long distant point. We can hear sounds that are close by. We can concentrate and focus on sounds that are made at a distance. So you see, we are projecting our faculty of hearing. We do not project our ear. We project the faculty of hearing. That's subjective. Now we project our faculty of sight to a short, distant type of object we want to see, or a long, distant thing we want to see. We project the faculty of seeing again. We do not project our biological I. Faculties, subjective faculties, they can be projected even within the biological or physical world. Now, we have faculties to project also. We are considering now that we need to deal with biological intelligence. We need to deal with, when we talk about biological intelligence, this could be plant cell life intelligence. We could be dealing with animal cell life intelligence or human cell life intelligence. So we like to say plant intelligence, animal intelligence, human intelligence. Each one dimension of intelligence has a certain amount of intelligence that governs within that particular dimension. Now we are operating from where we stand as of now within that dimension that we consider to be human intelligence. So human intelligence has a faculty that it can project within any one perspective as far as we're concerned in dealing with the brain. We can project human intelligence to become aware from this perspective, to become aware from that perspective once we learn to use the alpha dimension. Human intelligence projecting its faculty of sensing, its awareness, we call that awareness mind. So we're learning to control the projection of this awareness that we call mind, to operate from any perspective, from this perspective or from that perspective. When within this perspective, to be able to focus on seeing, human intelligence has projected its faculty of awareness, mind, to see things or to hear things or to function for any other purpose. Well, the concepts now that we have in projecting to this dimension are that we can project our awareness. Human intelligence can project its awareness to any dimension, either in the microcosmos or macrocosmos. That from wherever we stand, like as of now, we can focus our awareness to move along the brain frequency spectrum. It seems like this dimension here has the means, it's connected to, it exists or resides in a specific dimension whereby it can project anywhere it wants to project, anywhere it needs to project. Something like saying, our concepts now in relation to the body is that the body, when mind is enslaved or operating from the physical perspective, that it deals with this planet Earth only, that we become citizens of the planet only. But when we project to this dimension, which is considered spiritual, the subjective, then mind becomes a citizen of the universe. With physical senses, we can only communicate within this physical body or through the physical body, and we can encompass the planet and maybe other planets if we have communicating systems like we do in space type of flights and work. That's in the physical dimension. But when we project from here, when we project our mind, our sensing awareness from this perspective, this part of the brain, we can tune not only to this particular planet of ours, to any one planet within the solar system, any solar system within the galaxy, and our concept is that we can tune into any galaxy within the universe. So you see, we become citizens of the universe. There's no limitations as to what mind can do. Our modern concepts, because of recent discoveries, are that there's no limitations as far as mind is concerned. Here we are limited. Mind is limited to what only the body can do. But here, since the body is left aside, there's no limitations as to what the mind can do. Mind can do anything. Now the concept of being able to do something here, become aware because of one's own concept, which means because of one's own manner of thinking. Now how can we establish a concept? A concept has been established because of our education, because of becoming aware of additional information, the accumulation of bits or factors of information that lead to knowledge, knowledge that properly applied and wisely applied in problem-solving situations, wisely solve the problems that lead to wisdom. These concepts that we now have about mind operating from this perspective causes a human being to become a superior functioning entity or agent on this planet. There's no question about that. With the knowledge of functioning at the alpha dimension, with this particular concept, that we're trying to figure out how do we arrive at our present concept besides our own experiences, besides the additional accumulation of information that we have accumulated along the way from the very first day of our birth, up to the present. How much information have we encountered on the way? How many experiences have we experienced? How much of this have we accumulated to work with? Is one concept. Now this, in addition to what our genes are telling us because of the concepts of our ancestors, that things have been passed on, and by things we mean biologically and psychologically. Why you have blue eyes? Because of your ancestors. Why you respond psychologically in a certain manner? Because we think and believe the transference of intelligence at the genetic level from father to son. Their concepts, their accumulation of information is also along with your own, which means has been added to your own, which means you have added your information, your experiences onto theirs. They're backing you up. They're part of you. So everything that your ancestors have done, we think, is now within your body at some level for some purpose. Now, when we function from the alpha perspective, since all of our brains become attuned, all of our awareness, our mental functioning becomes attuned to one another. Here we're individuals. Here we're only one of many that are connected, that you can sense what others are thinking. And to give you a better idea, what we mean by this, that medical doctors taking our courses can sense the problems in their patients without having to talk to them or having to see them. If they are interested in any one person, they can know what's wrong with the person. They can diagnose the person at a distance and be accurate on their diagnosing. As far out as this may seem, we guarantee this for all medical doctors. And we haven't had a single medical doctor complain about not being able to do what we say they can do. So you can imagine when they enter this dimension and become attuned to other brains, to other human beings, then all of this that everybody's sensing is part of you, is part of what your concept is when you're operating within this perspective also. You become one of 4 billion human beings connected together whose all their experiences helping you to solve your problems, all the experiences of their ancestors, the so-called collective unconscious of Jung is backing you up, but not from the beta perspective, because it's only a bodily function, it's only a biological manner of functioning. It's the alpha, the subjective world, that makes it possible for you. So it is very important to function at the alpha, and when we do so, we find that we have a completely total different concept about our life, about our relation to our fellow man, about our manner of functioning on this planet and being part of the complete universe.
Learn to actually use the untapped power of your mind in Jose Silva's Everyday ESP Master Course at booksellers worldwide in audio, ebook, print, and large print editions.